Welcome to Crying Inside, where every family story holds a special meaning. If you've ever cried quietly behind a smile, this is a safe space for you. Here, we share honest stories from the heart about heartbreak, betrayal, quiet strength, and the courage to rise again. In today's video, you'll hear an emotional family story from the Philippines about a woman facing the unimaginable betrayal, not from a stranger, but from those who raised her. It's a journey of tears, loss, but also a path to rediscover inner strength, faith, and self-worth. If you love stories that touch the heart and bring life meaning, subscribe to Crying Inside and hit the notification bell so you won't miss our latest videos. Early morning in Cebu, sunlight streams through the window, casting a golden glow on the dining table. Althea is leisurely enjoying breakfast with her husband, Miguel. A truly peaceful morning. The clinking of cutlery on plates, soft laughter mixed with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. No one expected that just minutes later, this atmosphere would completely change. The doorbell rings. Miguel stands and walks to open the door. A delivery man hands him a cardboard box, no ribbon, no greeting card, just a regular package, but the words, "From Mom and Dad" on the label make Althea freeze. Today is her birthday, and this might be one of the rare gifts from her parents. But when Miguel sets the box on the table, he doesn't open it or smile. He looks at the shipping label, his eyes shifting from curious to serious. His voice lowers. "Don't open it." Althea laughs, thinking he's joking. But when Miguel stays silent and points to a small detail on the label, a number and symbol she's seen somewhere before, her smile fades. She feels a chill all over. Her hand freezes midair. Memories flood back. She's seen this kind of label once, at a place she wishes she had never stepped foot in. A place tied to the troubles of Isabel, her younger sister. The husband and wife looked at each other, neither saying a word. The air in the kitchen felt like it had frozen solid. Then, exactly 30 minutes later, the knocking came again. This time it wasn't the delivery person. Outside stood 2 police officers, faces stern and serious. "Good morning. Is this the home of Mrs. Althea Cruz?" Her heart pounded. Miguel nodded slightly in response. The officer continued, "We received a report about a package recently delivered to this address. We need to inspect it immediately." Althea glanced at the box still sitting on the table, motionless but as if holding a storm inside. She wondered, what was going on? And more importantly, what was inside that box that in just half an hour could bring her life to the brink of collapse? In any family story, to understand the root of a tragedy, you need to know the people and environment that shaped it. This story begins with Althea Cruz, the eldest sister in a family of 4 from Iloilo. Currently, Althea lives and works in Manila, managing a small office in the real estate business. She's known in the family as the steady one, not because she's wealthy, but because she's never caused her parents the headaches her sister has. Isabel, Althea's only younger sister, is a completely opposite piece of the puzzle. Isabel loves luxury, partying, dressing up, and always dreams of million-dollar business projects that only exist in her imagination. She once opened an online clothing store, then a small cafe, then an import sales service, but all closed after just a few months. Yet to their parents, Isabel was always the little girl who needed protection and forgiveness. Their family, like many family drama stories in the Philippines, lives in a community where neighbors know everything about each other. Large family meals, fiesta celebrations, church mass, all filled with laughter, but behind closed doors, the atmosphere was different. In that house, favoritism was something everyone felt, except the ones causing it. Althea still clearly remembers the first time she was wrongly accused. She was only 8 years old when she heard a loud crash from the hallway. Running out, she saw the emerald green ceramic vase, the only decoration her mother was always proud of, shattered on the tile floor. Isabel, only 4 years old then, stood nearby with tears welling up in her eyes. When their mother appeared, Isabel didn't say anything, except pointing at her older sister. Without asking, their mother concluded, "You're the older one. You have to watch over your sister. Why did you let her break it?" She was punished by being sent to her room all afternoon, while Isabel was comforted with a cold popsicle. At 12 years old, Althea felt that same feeling again. The cream-colored cardigan, a birthday gift from their grandmother, disappeared from the wardrobe. A week later, she saw Isabel wearing it to school, covered in acrylic paint stains. When Althea angrily asked about it, Isabel just shrugged. "You never said it was important." Their mother didn't scold her sister, but turned to say, "If you valued it, why didn't you put it away more carefully?" Phrases like, "You have to sacrifice for your sister," "You're older, you have to give in," became household mantras. Gradually, Althea learned to swallow her frustration and stay silent to avoid pointless arguments. She believed that if she lived well and worked hard, sooner or later her family would respect her and treat her fairly. But she was wrong. Her stability didn't bring her recognition. It only made her the go-to person whenever the family needed someone to take responsibility. And Isabel knew this better than anyone. Althea never expected that this title of the stable one would drag her into the biggest trouble of her life, a trouble that started with a box, on her birthday, sent from Mom and Dad. On a hot May afternoon, Althea received a video call from Isabel. Behind her was the messy scene of a rented room in Iloilo, cluttered with rolls of paintings, small statues, and stacked cardboard boxes. Isabel started with an excited tone, as if sharing good news. "Sis Althea, I'm about to launch an online art gallery. My stuff is exclusive, all handcrafted by local artisans. I just need you to help me with a small favor." Althea furrowed her brow slightly. What kind of favor? Isabel tilted her head, her smile a bit shy, but her eyes still confident. "Can you register the company in your name for me? It's just a temporary formality, since I don't have a permanent address yet. Besides, you're in Manila, so it's easier for you to handle the paperwork." Althea was silent for a few seconds. In her mind, images of Isabel's past million-dollar projects flashed by: the coffee shop that closed after 3 months, the online store that shut down because of unpaid debts, the import service accused of selling low-quality goods. "Do you have all the proper permits yet?" Althea asked directly. Isabel frowned slightly. "You're always so suspicious. It's just paperwork, nothing serious." "You're my sister, why wouldn't you trust me?" Althea took a deep breath. "It's not that I don't trust you, but I don't want to put my name on something I don't fully understand. If you don't have a permanent address and a clear plan, it's better for you to handle it yourself once things are more stable." At that moment, Isabel's smile disappeared completely. Her voice turned cold. "Fine, I'll find another way." Althea thought the conversation ended there, but she was wrong. 2 weeks later, on their mother's birthday, Althea didn't get an invitation to the party like every year. Instead, while scrolling Facebook, she saw the whole family, Dad, Mom, Isabel, gathered around the dinner table with the caption, "Family is everything." Under the comments, a mutual friend casually asked, "Where's Althea?" Isabel quickly replied, "Probably too busy, doesn't care about family stuff anymore." Before she could react, Althea received an email from her dad, short and cold. "I'm disappointed you didn't support your sister's project. Family is about helping each other, not turning your back when loved ones need you." She read the email over and over, gripping her mouse tightly. In their eyes, her refusal to put her name on a sketchy project was seen as betrayal. They didn't ask for reasons or try to understand, they just assumed she was wrong. From that day, contact gradually faded. No more phone calls checking up on her. No. "Have you eaten yet?" Messages from her mom. Isabel also blocked her on social media. The fragile bond they had felt like the last thread was finally cut. Althea thought this distance, though painful, would give her some peace. But she never expected that refusal to be the first stone rolling downhill, starting a landslide that swept her whole life into a whirlpool of trouble, beginning with a birthday gift package delivered right to her doorstep many months later. Althea's kitchen still smelled like morning coffee, but ever since the box appeared, the atmosphere seemed thick and heavy. She stepped closer to take a better look. The brown cardboard box was sealed tightly with clear tape along every edge, not a gap in sight. In the top right corner was a colored logo, a stylized boat with intricate lines. The moment she saw it, Althea felt a chill run down her spine. It was the logo of a premium art shipping company, a name she'd seen during her visit to Isabel's warehouse almost a year ago. Back then, Isabel bragged about international clients, saying these products served the upper class, the luxury life Philippines. and that no one here really understands the true value of these items. But the way Isabel talked about the business that day gave Althea an uneasy feeling. The cramped room was piled high with boxes exactly like this one, all stamped with the same logo. When Althea curiously stepped closer, Isabel immediately stepped in, her hand gently blocking the box lid. "Don't open it, sis. This is sealed merchandise. If you break the seal, the whole batch is lost." Her voice wasn't cheerful like usual, but a bit rushed, like she was hiding something. Now, that logo appeared again, neatly printed on the box sitting in Althea's kitchen, this time with her name and address on the recipient label. Not Isabel's, not the warehouse address. It was her home. Miguel stood nearby, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the box. "Remember when I followed you to Isabel's warehouse?" he asked. Althea nodded. "I haven't forgotten. This glue smell, it's exactly the same as that day. And the packaging, too, no different at all." She bent down, sniffing lightly. It was the same scent. Sharp, a mix of glue and something like wood varnish. An unforgettable smell. Her heart raced faster. Memories of her last conversation with Isabel came flooding back. At that time, Althea had refused to put her name on the art gallery project. Isabel didn't argue, but her eyes held a silent promise, a promise of resentment. Suddenly, the phone rang, cutting through her thoughts. On the screen it said Mom. Althea glanced at Miguel. He nodded slightly, silently saying, "Answer it." She swiped her finger and put the call on speaker. "Althea, dear, did you get the package yet?" Her mother's voice came through, sweeter than usual. She took a deep breath, trying to keep calm. "Yes, I got it." "Have you opened it yet? This is a special gift. We want you to know that your family always loves you." Althea hesitated for a moment. For all these years, her mother had never said that without adding a reminder or a criticism. The words "family loves you" from her mother today sounded like a perfect disguise. "Yes, I've opened it. Thank you so much, Mom and Dad." She lied. At the same time, her other hand quietly opened the voice recording app and set the phone down on the table. "It's just a little gift, Anak. You're always strong, and we believe you'll know how to appreciate it." Her mother's voice came with a soft laugh. Miguel glanced at Althea, his eyes asking, "Did you hear that?" She nodded, her heart pounding. The call ended, but its aftertaste made Althea uneasy. This special gift, sent via international shipping, carefully sealed, and clearly marked with the company Isabel used to work for. It couldn't just be a coincidence. Althea turned to Miguel. "If this is legal, why send it on my birthday, to my address, instead of having her receive it?" Miguel pondered. "Or maybe they want you to open it, and when something bad happens, it will all be blamed on you." That sentence sent chills down Althea's spine. She knew her family could be biased toward Isabel, but never thought they'd put her in danger. Morning light filled the kitchen, but to Althea, everything seemed to darken. She didn't open the box. Not yet, but inside, a vague fear was growing, getting stronger with every passing minute. A knock sounded at the door, strong and decisive, unlike a neighbor or delivery person. Miguel stepped forward, cracked the door open, and instantly his face turned serious. Outside stood 2 uniformed police officers, their name tags shining in the early sunlight, standing at attention. "Hello, is this the home of Mrs. Althea Cruz?" One asked politely, but with a sharp tone. Althea stepped out, trying to stay calm. "Yes, I'm Althea. We received a report about a suspicious package that was just delivered to this address. We need permission to come in and inspect it." Miguel glanced at his wife, his eyes asking silently. Althea took a deep breath, nodded gently. "Please, come in." The box was still on the kitchen table, intact as when it was delivered. An officer approached, bent down to check the shipping label, then asked, "Have you opened this box yet?" "Number," Althea replied firmly. He nodded, signaling his colleague to bring gloves and a box cutter. Moving slowly, they cut each strip of tape, the crisp tearing sound echoing in the quiet room, making Althea feel her heart grow heavier with every beat. The box lid was opened, revealing layers of foam padding, white wrapping paper, and a sharp glue smell wafting out. One officer carefully removed each layer until delicate decorative items appeared: small wooden statues, carved picture frames, and some glossy ceramic pieces. All were carefully wrapped, accompanied by full-color certificates of origin, and on the back of each item was a neatly attached QR code. One of the two officers pulled out a work phone and scanned the code on one of the statues. The screen displayed information. He frowned, then handed the phone to his colleague. They exchanged looks, an expression Althea knew was never good news. "Do you know what these items are?" the officer asked. Althea looked at them, shook her head. "They look like art. I already said, I haven't opened this box. Do you know who sent them?" "My parents. At least, that's what they said," she replied, then slowly took out her phone. "I have a recorded call where they confirmed sending this package. Would you like to hear it?" The officer nodded. Althea played the recording, letting the speaker fill the kitchen. "Have you opened it yet? This is a special gift. We want you to know that your family always loves you." Her mother's voice was clear and unusually sweet. The recording ended. No one in the room spoke for several seconds. Finally, the officer said, "We will have to take this package with us for investigation. You are not being charged at this time, but we advise you to stay in contact and cooperate if needed." Althea nodded, but inside she was a mix of emotions, relieved she hadn't been accused, yet deeply afraid. Because she knew, once the police got involved, this was no small matter. Miguel saw the two officers out the door. Althea stayed in the kitchen, staring at the empty spot on the table where the box had just been taken away. Just a few hours ago, that was where they had breakfast together. Now, it was as empty as the feeling inside her. Part of her wanted to believe it was all a misunderstanding, but her mind whispered, "They sent it to me, knowing I'd be the one to sign for it, and they expected me to open it." Althea had never been so clear on one thing. Her family had put her at the center of a dangerous game, and the first move had just been made right there in her kitchen. That afternoon, as the sunlight faded through the window, Althea's phone rang. The screen showed, "Mom." She hesitated for a few seconds, then answered. Before Althea could say a word, her mother's voice came through, no longer sweet like this morning, but cold and choked. "You've betrayed the family." Althea froze, gripping the phone tightly. "What do you mean?" "Don't pretend you don't know." The police took the package. "What did you say to them?" "You pushed Isabel into this." Before Althea could answer, a deeper voice interrupted, her father's. "Isabel can't handle the pressure, you know that. She's weak. She'll break down. You're different. You're stronger. You'll make it through." Althea closed her eyes. Over the years, these words changed form, but never lost their meaning. She was the one who carried the burden. She was the family's shield. When trouble came, blaming Althea was the quickest fix. "Being stronger doesn't mean you have to take it all on," she replied, calm but firm. Her mother cut her off. "If they find the package at your place, it's over. No one else gets dragged in. You had a chance to keep things quiet, but you chose to ruin it." Althea felt a chill run down her spine. They were admitting they sent that package themselves, hoping she'd sacrifice to protect her sister. "Mom, Dad, are you telling me that my life is easier to throw away than Isabel's life?" she asked, her voice trembling, but each word cutting through the air. Her father was silent. Her mother replied, almost without thinking, "You don't have children. No one depends on you. You will recover. She won't." In that moment, everything became clear to Althea. The faint hopes that her family would be fair to her vanished. They never truly valued her. They only saw her as a safe place to push risks onto. She didn't argue anymore, just said one sentence, "I understand," then hung up. Miguel, standing in the living room, heard everything. He stepped closer, placing his hand on his wife's shoulder. Althea looked up, her eyes dry, but deep inside was a storm. "You know what?" she whispered. "All my life, I've been the shield. But this time, I won't stand up anymore." And that very night, Althea began preparing to tell the truth, knowing it would shake the whole family. 3 days after the accusing call, Althea received an appointment from the Cebu City Police Department. The lead investigator asked her to appear the next morning to clarify some details related to the shipment. A small interrogation room, harsh bright light, an old wooden table, and 2 chairs facing each other. The investigator sat down and opened a thick file. Without beating around the bush, he began, "Mrs. Cruz, we have verified. Your name is currently listed on the registration papers of an art import-export company. This company is directly involved in an international smuggling ring. Are you aware of this? Althea felt a chill run down her spine. Number, I've never opened an import-export company. I work in the real estate business. Nothing to do with art. The investigator nodded slightly, then pulled out a stack of documents. Here are copies of the business license, contracts with foreign suppliers, and international shipping contracts. All bear your name and signature. Althea looked down. Indeed, her name was clearly printed on every page, along with a signature that looked very much like hers. But immediately she noticed the difference. The handwriting was stiff and consistent, like it was copied from a template. "This is not my signature," she said firmly. "Someone forged it." The investigator continued. Also, in the company registration documents, they used copies of your ID, tax declaration, and your old lease contract from Manila. We need to know, have you ever let anyone access these documents? Althea closed her eyes for a few seconds, then answered, "My family. Years ago, I gave the documents to my parents to keep when I was applying for a bank loan. And Isabel, my younger sister, borrowed my tax records as a reference for her own project." The room fell silent for a few seconds. Then the investigator flipped to another page and slid it toward her. "Do you recognize who the listed CEO here is?" Althea looked down. The name Isabel Cruz stood out clearly as Operations Manager. All international contracts from Singapore, Japan, to Europe were signed under the name Cruz Arte Imports, with Isabel as the operations director. Althea's heart ached. Though she had suspected it, seeing the truth printed on paper felt like being cut with a knife. We have also checked the company's bank account. Many large payments were withdrawn by checks signed by Isabel Cruz. Some amounts were even transferred into her personal account, the investigator added. Althea sat silently, her hand trembling lightly on her lap. She knew she had to distance herself from this immediately. "I'm willing to sign any document to prove I'm not involved." The investigator handed her a declaration of innocence. "We need your real signature here to compare with the signature on the company documents. And we will keep the recorded phone call with your mother as part of the evidence." Althea took the pen and signed more firmly than usual, as if engraving deeply that this was her true signature. When she put the pen down, she felt some of the weight lift off her shoulders, but only a little. Because she knew what Isabel had done not only ruined her reputation, but also showed that her family was willing to use her as a shield to protect themselves, no matter the consequences. The investigator looked at her, his tone softening. "Thank you for cooperating. We will continue the investigation and contact you when there's new information. But be prepared. This case won't be wrapped up quickly." Leaving the police station, Althea stood on the porch and took a deep breath. Miguel was already waiting by the car. He opened the door, placed his hand on her back, his eyes full of concern. "Are you okay?" he asked. She nodded lightly, but stared out at the street, where cars kept passing as if nothing had happened. "At least now I know the truth. And I know I won't stay silent anymore." Something inside Althea had changed. The pain of betrayal was slowly turning into determination. She realized that sometimes the most inspiring life lesson isn't learning to forgive, but learning to protect yourself, even if the ones you need protection from are family. Nearly 4 months after the police took the box, the case went to trial. The name Isabel Cruz was clearly listed in the charges: commercial fraud, identity forgery, and violations of import-export laws. She was sentenced to 2 years probation, fined enough money to buy a small house in the suburbs, and banned from registering or managing any business for the next 5 years. Althea's parents weren't spared either. Both were charged as accomplices for allowing their address and personal documents to be used in related transactions. In the end, they received 3 months of community service and a smaller fine. But on the record, their names were still listed under collaborators. On the sentencing day, Althea didn't go to court. She chose to stay at the office and work like any other normal day. For her, seeing the people she called family stand in the defendant's seat didn't bring satisfaction, only a cold emptiness. That evening, when she got home, she opened the online news. The image of Isabel stepping out of the courtroom, wearing a beige blouse, her hair down, eyes red and swollen. Her parents walked right behind her. Her mother held Isabel's hand tightly, as if afraid someone would pull her away. In the short interview, Isabel didn't mention Althea's name, didn't apologize, didn't admit any guilt. Her mother only said, "Family is still family. We will get through this." Althea turned off the screen. That phrase, "family is still family," had never sounded so empty. They still held the same view. No matter who's at fault, family must cover for each other, as long as no one inside the protected circle gets hurt. Miguel poured her a cup of hot tea and set it down on the table. At least justice was served. Althea gave a faint smile. The court's justice, that is. "I'm not expecting an apology, because I know it will never come. They don't think they're wrong. They just think the plan didn't go smoothly. And if given the chance, they probably would do it again, just more secretly." But this time, Althea learned one thing. She would no longer be a shield for anyone. That decision, to her, was a personal sentence for the family, an unappealable verdict. One light rainy afternoon in Quezon City, Althea got a message from her mother. "Can you meet us at the cafe near the courthouse? We should reconcile." She read that line over and over, not out of hesitation, but curiosity about what they would say. After a few minutes of thought, Althea agreed. The cafe was on a quiet corner street, the smell of roasted coffee filling the air. When Althea walked in, her parents were already seated at a table near the window, each with a steaming cup of black coffee in front of them. Her mother smiled softly when she saw her daughter, a smile both familiar and distant. "Thank you for coming." Her father started, his voice low, but with a trace of tension. Althea sat down, set her bag aside, and looked straight ahead. "What do you want to say?" Her mother glanced quickly at her father and replied, "We're family. Everything that happened was just a misunderstanding. Everyone makes mistakes, but what matters is learning to forgive. We should make peace. You sent that package to my house, using my name to hide wrongdoing. Do you call that a misunderstanding?" Her father cleared his throat softly, as if to pause the conversation. "You don't have children. No one depends on you. It's easier for you to bear than Isabel. She's weak. You're stronger." Althea felt those words were a perfect copy of everything they had said to her all her life. The reason is always the same, not because she's wrong, but because she endures better. "What did you think when you decided to let me carry this burden?" she asked, eyes fixed on them. Her mother answered quickly, "We only thought about protecting the family." Isabel wasn't ready to face things like that yet. Ready to sacrifice, ready to stay silent, ready to be used whenever needed. Only the sound of rain tapping against the window remained. Althea placed her hand on her bag, then stood up. "I used to think family was a place I could always come back to, no matter what. But now I understand. If that place only sees me as a shield, then I have no reason to return." The smell of coffee slowly gave way to the scent of rain on the street. She took a deep breath, feeling lighter in her chest. This time, the door closed. Not because someone shut it, but because she chose to close it herself. The next morning, soft sunlight poured through the kitchen window, casting a warm golden glow over the dining table. Althea brewed coffee as usual. There was no box on the table, no accusing phone ringing, only the faint aroma of coffee in the quiet room. Miguel came in, placed his hand on his wife's shoulder. "Are you okay?" It meant she had put an end to the role of being the family's shield. She chose to protect herself, to keep the little peace she had built. In every family story, true love never turns loved ones into sacrifices. Love must come with respect, and sometimes the greatest love is knowing when to stop to avoid hurting each other more. And if you were in my shoes, would you forgive or let go? Share your answer in the comments below. This is a touching story that I believe everyone will see from their own perspective, and the answers will differ. You just heard this story on Crying Inside, where every family story touches the heart and leaves an inspiring life lesson. If this story moved you, please hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next videos. Thank you for taking the time to watch the whole story. Every view, comment, and share from you is the motivation for us to keep bringing real and heartfelt stories. And don't forget, The next video will be a special family story about a hardworking mother returning home after many years abroad, only to uncover a shocking secret waiting for her. Stay tuned.